Mike Offerman, President of Capella University.
Thank you, Richard. My job this morning is to basically describe to you what Transparency by Design is about, but before I do that, I want to recognize some other guests that we have in the room, people who've really provided leadership for the education of America's workforce. We have, at the end of the table, to your left and my right, Art Rothkopf, who will say a few words as we conclude this gathering. Art is the Senior Vice President for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and he did serve on the Spellings Commission. Joining him are his colleagues, Rolf Lundberg and Terrence Thompson, and we appreciate very much your joining us this morning. So what is it that we're trying to do with Transparency by Design? Well, we intend to give people who want to go back to college the most detailed information possible so that these adult students who make up the current American workforce can make good decisions about what school to attend, to make an informed decision about one of the largest investments they will make in their life, both in terms of their money and their time. The institutions that have come together in Transparency by Design have committed to serving working adult students. These students often find the array of choices just as overwhelming as those that face high school students who must choose a college. But they have challenges that go beyond the younger student. How will I fit in as an older student? How can I fit my studies with my work, family, and community responsibilities? Can I continue to work while I attend college? Can I really learn at my age? With a degree, will this degree prepare me to do my job better, to qualify for new jobs or for new professions? How much will it cost me, and how am I going to afford to pay for it? What are the chances that I will earn more and realize a return on this investment? Those of us involved in Transparency by Design know that adult students have different needs, challenges, questions, and anxieties. Our institutions focus on the special needs of adult students. We know this audience. We have adapted our programs to best serve these adult students. Our programs are often delivered online, and we generate lots of data that can be converted into useful information for the prospective student. Our programs are designed intentionally to provide specific learning outcomes relevant to selected professions, industries, and employers. We believe the time is right for us to boldly share this information with people who seek to return to college so that they can make good decisions. The most significant outcome that we know adults want to understand is what are they going to learn in their program specialization that will help them in their career, profession, and job. We intend to offer information on those outcomes and a lot more. Given our outcomes focus and the data we generate in the online mode, we are able to provide this information, and we intend to do so. Transparency by Design institutions will begin to post annual reports on our websites during the first quarter of each calendar year, beginning in 2009, when we reflect information collected during calendar year 2008. Those reports will contain information on the following elements: context and demographics to define what each institution looks like and who it serves, gender breakdown, age ranges, average class sizes, completion rates using 150% of predicted time, so that if you think of a student coming into a bachelor's degree, how many graduate within 6 years. We'll also report beyond that 150% point because we want to recognize that adult students, part-time working adult students, may need more time, and we want to indicate what the ultimate total completion rates may look like. Additional student information would include such things as percentages receiving financial aid, cost per credit, and credits required to graduate. For those of our institutions that offer undergraduate programs, we will report on student engagement using the National Survey of Student Engagement, known as NSSE. We will also look at core learning, writing, critical thinking, analytical reasoning. Much of the national discussion has been about value-add assessments. That approach works well at institutions that have students who matriculate as true freshmen, stay 4, 5, or 6 years, and graduate from the same institution, where you can do a pre-test and a post-test. Adults don't present that way. They come with accumulated credits already, and they don't behave that way. They move from institution to institution. So we've decided to take a sampling of our senior undergraduate students to see how well they perform in the areas of writing, critical thinking, and analytical reasoning. We searched for an instrument that was developed with at least some consideration of the adult student and could be delivered online. That is how we came to the measurement of academic proficiency and progress, the MAPP. Now, for everything that I've talked to this point, it's easy to make institutional comparisons. This is comparative information. However, the problem with it is, and by the way, that kind of comparative information should be a part of any transparency initiative, but that comparative data does not get at what is most important to the adult student. Again, the adult is focused on profession and career and wants to know if they will be prepared to succeed in that area in which they've specialized. This aspect of transparency by design, looking at these program specializations outcomes, has been the most challenging and yet is probably the greatest differentiator from other efforts underway and is the real strength of our approach. The fact is that when it comes to learning outcomes at the specialization level, comparison is difficult, if not impossible. American higher education and the consumer of that education expect differentiation, that going to school A is different than and perhaps better than, hopefully better than, going to school B. The rich diversity of our educational system and outcomes is celebrated and seen as a strength of American higher education. So given that expectation for differentiation, the alternative we offer is to provide sufficient information to allow prospective students to consider institution-specific specialization level outcomes. What we propose is simple and hopefully elegant. First, each institution articulates the specific learning outcomes intended for each of its programs that are delivered to adults. Secondly, we state clearly what the methodology is that is used to assess those outcomes. For example, at Capella University, we will measure outcomes through assessments in a final project or in other ways in a capstone course in all of our bachelor's and master's programs. Thirdly, what we will all report on is at an aggregate level just how many students demonstrate at selected levels of proficiency. You may note on the screen to my right, to your left, but you have a copy of this in your materials because it's hard to read on the screen, is an example of what we mean by differentiating by proficiency level. We think it is critical that adult serving institutions report on this institution-specific information to best enable the prospective adult student to make a good judgment. Again, it is our view that this is the most important aspect of transparency by design. One other element of our plans is to develop information about alumni outcomes. We attempted to do this with the institutions involved, and what we found were large differences in how alumni surveys are constructed and used by the institutions. So we will continue to work at this to identify common questions that we will share in our annual reports, giving information about how alumni have been able to enhance their careers through completion of our degrees. We are passionate about the fact that we serve adults at a distance and assert that higher education for adults is a very different undertaking than serving younger adults, younger students. A system of transparency about learning outcomes involving adults must look and be different and specific to our missions and audience. It should include a mix of comparative information and institution-specific information at the program or specialization level. We are convinced that this is important work that we're about. We think that this work will be well received by potential students and other external constituents. And while we know that there is a chance that some of us will look better than others on various aspects of what we report, we have the courage to do the right thing and publicly report our outcomes in order to enable people returning to college to make informed decisions. We know that we will work to improve those areas where necessary, but we believe that this effort will help to demonstrate the high-quality education that our institutions are already delivering to adult students across this country to our existing workforce.